Hello, and welcome to December 9th, 2022. My name is Kurt, and this video is my Good Life meditation. This is the capturing of an exercise that I do each and every morning, just a little bit after waking up. It's now 4:29 a.m. And I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, something that I call the Good Life Creed, which is outlined in my book, Going Alone. I then use this time to think about the challenges and opportunities that I encountered yesterday and how did I do managing those, in particular applying the Good Life Creed to those items, those challenges and the opportunities. Try to find out where the principles and objectives worked, where they may have had trouble and they need a little tuning, maybe where I need a new wholesale addition, a new principle, for example, or even a new objective, or perhaps where I need to remove one. That's happened too. Or shift it around, maybe make it a sub-principle of something else. This is that time to do that. And then I finish this video by thinking about the current day and anticipating the challenges that are in front of me and planning a good day. Planning to make this day a part of a better life, a good life. And good morning, Parker. Okay, so first, last night and yesterday, entering a new and familiar pattern with my sleep, that is to I swear to gosh, I'm asleep before my head hits the pillow these days, going to bed sometime between 9 and 9:30 a.m., so I'm getting about 7 hours of sleep, but as has been the case for at least 3 years now, I can't stay asleep. I wake up an hour or two, sometimes more, before the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and I think about work. And what makes that worse is that my wife is doing the same thing. She's stressed out about her job as well. And so we lay there together lately. This has been a relatively new thing within the last maybe month or two that we're both laying there in the pre-dawn hours. She says she can't get to sleep, which really makes it terrible, which means that she's awake a lot longer. I would love to see her switch jobs. Let me move this. Maybe get a position that's less stressful. Me too. For that matter. But I won't. I'll stick with what I've got for the next 3 years is the plan. Springtime 2025 is my retirement window, my retirement goal. But we'll see. I want to make sure that Emily is safe and settled in whatever new life she's going to make before I bug out and leave. Go back to Japan. So, and I didn't necessarily have a lot to think about, although I did. Yeah, I know my one project is having some, it's not problems necessarily, it's just that we're at an important stage. I need to keep things going. I have a lot of, excuse my yawning. I have a lot of work to do that weighs on my mind. Even if I was a bricklayer, I'd be fretting the night before about how am I going to make sure the bricks align the next day. Maybe this is just my lot at this stage in my life. So otherwise, yesterday was a pretty good day. I had a half day of training that I was facilitating. Got a lot of action items that came out of that. There's so many things to do. That's Yumiko's problem too. So many damn things to do. But altogether, my projects are going well. Had my one-on-one with my boss yesterday as well, and no issues from his side either, so that's good. I think I'm doing well. and my year is up. I did my 1-year review. That's the third time I've done this for that job, for this employer. Third time I've been hired to a job with them since coming back to America. just never stay still, do I? Oh well. That's not bad there. But I think this is the last time I'm going to do that. I'm getting too old to adapt and change. Although I was watching a video that Juan sent me yesterday about Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter and his plans for it, and his seeming ambition to bring in exceptional human beings to basically build Twitter 2.0 from the ruins of what he has dismantled of that organization. And I've known exceptional people like were described in the video. It's a YouTube series called Connect the Dots. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. Subscribed, of course. Well, just about anything that Juan sends me, I'm going to subscribe to. He seems to be tuned into all the best sources of information. Exceptional. He's an exceptional in his own right, for certain. And he remains exceptional. Getting older doesn't seem to inhibit Juan very much, although he's honest with himself. He's also not wasting time. Really have a lot of respect for that man. I'll tell you more about something that Juan did yesterday that really stuck out. I'll tell you about that when I get to the right place in the Good Life Creed. So other than that, it was a good day. I really did keep my ocean swim on my mind throughout the day, and I was looking forward to that in the afternoon, and it really punctuated the day. That, along with dinner with my wife and our show. We're watching The Crown season. I guess it's the newest season, whatever's out. What is it? 3 or something like that. The one with Princess Diana. We're enjoying that. Really well made. Okay, let's do the good life. More sleep, please. Okay, first my 7 objectives, which are as follows. Number 1 is to be always ready to die. To have my papers, my bank accounts, my bills, my debt even, in order. So that if I die, I don't leave a mess. The second sub-principle of this is to have it's not really a sub-principle, the second part is to have my personal relationships in order. To be on good footing with the people in my life. And if I had to measure that on a scale of 1 to, or 0 to 10, 10 being the best, I'd say it's a solid 9 right now, maybe a 9.5. I don't know what I could do to improve the connections with the people in my life. They're all the right amount, in due proportion. I mean, there are people from my past lives that it would be nice to be in greater contact with, but it's tricky to do that. There's the current paradigm, which gets the most of the attention, and I think I'm keeping contact in due measure with people from the past, in accord with my character. That's an important piece. And then the third piece of being ready to die is to have my personal life objective in order, and that is the writing of my book, Going Alone, and the sharing of the story. And it is. The book is done. It's available on Amazon or at a bookstore if you simply go and ask for it, or you can get it from my website, goingalone.org, in which case you'll get a signed and illustrated, hand-illustrated copy. The book comes with drawings, though lovely illustrations by my daughter, Emily. So yeah, that's in good shape too. So I'm ready to die. And as I will say at the end of this video before I hit the stop button, my life is done. And I mean that. My life is done. Whatever is left today is just a bonus. I'm grateful and appreciative and looking forward to having another day and then another day after that, hopefully, of life. But if I don't, that's okay. I've done everything I could hope to do. That didn't come out right. My life is in a settled state. I've got lots more to do. Lots more that I hope to do, but it's in a settled state. An example of not being settled would be have my affairs in such an order that if I did die, my wife would have no idea where our bank accounts are or how to access them, because I do all the money management poorly, though, as poorly as I do. And there's a file over there that has all that information in it. She knows where it is. The second part of that would be if I died and had, for example, some sour words between a close friend or my daughter or my wife that we hadn't resolved, and I don't. Everybody's on good speaking terms, even my mother, to the best of my ability. And the third one would be that if I died and Going Alone was in manuscript form and wasn't done, then that would be an incomplete. It would probably just wind up in the bottom of a box somewhere. Now it's all done and it's out there, and it has a greater chance of surviving my passing to whatever degree. I've done my best in that capacity. The second objective is to make good and effective use of my time, to squeeze a day of goodness out of this day. And today's an 8-hour day of work. It's a Friday, and I want to squeeze 8 solid hours of good work out of myself for my employer and the citizens who pay my salary. And I will do that. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's these 7 objectives and 32 principles that I'm saying now. And I keep telling myself I need to change this. It's the development and maintenance of good and sound life objectives and principles. As wordy as that is, it's a mouthful, but that more accurately conveys the meaning. I'll need to try to find a way to update that in the manuscript, or maybe I just leave that as a verbal thing they say. It is wordy after all. Pardon me. And number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, just to become someone who reacts well. And I kind of have an angle, excuse me, I don't know where this is coming from. I kind of have an angle on a challenge at work that I can do that with. There's one circumstance where some of the team are unhappy with the personal connection of someone else. I'm trying to find a way to say it without providing too much detail. And I've realized now that instead of solving, I think it's kind of an unreasonable in a way, because I think it has more to do with personality than a true issue. So, and that's an intractable problem for me to solve. I don't know how to solve something if that's the case. If we're running out of money on our project, I know how to solve that. Get more money or tighten the project up. But if it's a perceived slight based on personality, I don't know how to solve that. So I found myself getting emotionally involved in it. But last night, I guess it's good that I lay there in bed and think, because I was thinking last night about this problem, and I realized that I will leave the problem with the person or persons where it's originating by simply recognizing the problem and asking how, as the project manager, how I might be able to help them to resolve that problem. Because I think what they'll find is that it comes back to them. That was a real breakthrough. I've yet to try it yet, but that then is major, because then if I can remember that and use that with other circumstances of that similar circumstances, then I'll have a new operational way of dealing with that kind of thing, and I'll be more like Juan. Who, the reason I say that is that Juan seems to handle such things in his stride. Like I said, he's an exceptional specimen of human being. Someone who I look up to and would admire, would like to be more like. Okay, the next objective is to perform good actions, just to do good things. The next one after that is number 6, and that is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I'm staying within the lane lines of what is possible and what is not, and applying apathy to the things that are outside of my scope of control. Like, for example, this circumstance I meant, if it's a dilemma of feeling slighted based on one's personality, that's outside of my control. And I guess this way of responding then fulfills my role as project manager, to try to address the problems, but then to also recognize where I have some effect and control and where I do not. Yeah. Now the last objective is to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, as I'm trying to do right now. And this is a deliberate effort. This isn't how if you'd seen a video, if I tried to sit and do a video 10 years ago like this, it wouldn't be like this at all. Watch some of those old Lyle's brother videos from Japan, right? It was a different guy. This is an more intentional guy. I guess it's the process of getting older and realizing that speed only, going fast only gets you to the end quicker. Or maybe not even that, because maybe you have to do a lot of superfluous fluff along the way, but it also causes you to stumble and make mistakes. And I want to filter what's coming out of my mouth through my values. And it takes a second to do that. It's like adding an extra process to the assembly line. And if I go slower, then I have time to do that extra process. It's a magic process. I don't exactly know how it happens, how it works. I think it works through. It's helped by virtue of the fact that I do this video every day, which instills these values into me and makes them more part and parcel of what I am. Okay, those are my 7 objectives. Excuse me. One more second. Dry winter air. All right, now my 32 principles. Number 1 is the principle of war. To always be fighting against propositions of truth of every sort and from every source. At least the important ones, the seemingly important ones. I'm not worried about how fast you claim your car can drive, or how much you can bench press. I'll believe you. It's the big claims that God exists, that we have a soul, that there's a heaven and hell, that karma is real. I'm gonna need something to back that up. So to that end, I use reason, which is the second principle, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation to help me with my task of evaluation. I think honesty, objectivity, doubt are clear with that. Those are. Humiliation doesn't mean that I welcome being humiliated, but it means that I welcome being humiliated. It's an operational stance that I'm glad when I'm shown that I'm wrong. It's a position of being ready to acknowledge being incorrect gracefully. Next is the homunculus, the suggestion that I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. And then the next principle after that is called the anchor hold, a reminder that my consciousness is trapped inside my skull, seemingly, and my nervous system feels like it's right behind my forehead here, but that it'll wink out like a candle snuffed out or the music stopped. as soon as I die. And that'll be the end of that. It'll never come back. Just imagine that. Beyond eternity of nothing. Gone forever. That's what awaits each of us, I believe. Number 4 is the home of good and evil. I don't believe in God either, and I don't believe in absolute morality. So if that's the case, then right and wrong, if they do not permeate the stars and every ounce of our being, then what are they? They're opinions, I believe. They're right and wrong, good and evil are biases that we hold. And that if we can share those biases and come to reasonable terms with others about what constitutes right and wrong, then we can build a community off of that and thrive together. And that's what I seek to do instead of seeking some absolute benchmark to follow, some standard to follow, the 10 Commandments written on stone. I simply think these things out, look to the past, read a lot, talk to others, formulate a creed, and then operate from there, working with others if I can. Next is the principle of purpose, with 3 sub-principles. My 3 purpose in life are to, 1, be a good husband and father. I call this the sub-principle of biology. Seemingly following the mandate of life to procreate, reproduce, and raise our children, to protect and raise them to viability. And I'm almost done with that task. The second sub-principle of purpose is to be a virtuous human being, where I define virtue as pursuing the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And I do that every day through my every effort. The third purpose for me is my personal purpose, which is to share the Good Life Creed via my book, Going Alone. And I do that every day in this video. And by living the principles towards the objectives that I've outlined in my own story. What better way to live well than to live well according to one's own hard-won values? But you might say, well, but I know, because then you're just selfishly pursuing yourself. Well, yeah, if that's your value. But if your value is virtue, then it's going to be a whole different game, isn't it? Because virtue is the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. It's not just us. And even if it was just us, it entails making others better, because we all we thrive, individuals, even if it's selfish, we thrive when our community does better. So it by nature forces us to become social creatures, pursuing virtue. The next principle is the atomic principle, a reminder that this mortal coil is destined to fall to pieces. It's just atoms and molecules. When I die, it'll just disintegrate away, decompose, be burned up, compost, whatever happens to it. Even the bones will be dust soon, very soon. Next comes the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, including each of us. It's the nature of the person or people that I was mentioning earlier about their way that they perceive things. That's their nature. And it's good to recognize that and to meet them where they are. It's good, the nature of a Friday to be the day that I build my status reports, but I think I'm going to change that to Mondays so that I can do that more frequently, because I've been missing it because I've been taking some Fridays off. Maybe I'll do that this coming Monday. Yeah, then I won't have to worry about the status report today. Fancy that. Okay, next is the pirate ride. I don't think we have free will. Free will is an illusion. I can't prove that, but I hold that principle on faith. Hallelujah. My grimace will be better understood when I get to the principles of sin and damnation. You'll see why I'm ashamed of myself for my belief that free will is an illusion. I'm ashamed. Next is principle of maturity, which has sub-principles of honesty, wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Maturity is that state we arrive at when we've gained some experience in life. This is why it takes a little while to get maturity. You have to have some wins and some losses, and then remember them well. And then you need the fortitude. We need the fortitude. I need the fortitude to do better, to avoid repeating my mistakes, and to do better in terms of making better decisions. When we do that, when we reach that state where we have the experience and we have the fortitude and the willpower and the strength to do better, then we begin to see our lives become more rich in integrity. Or integrity is that our work product of our life is in alignment with our principles, values, and our best practices. And we're living better. It's a good feeling to start to have a life of integrity. It doesn't mean a rich life. It doesn't mean necessarily even a contemporary, what might be considered by contemporary standards successful, but it does mean a life of integrity. And I'll again hearken to Juan, who is the poster child for integrity. I'll get to that story I wanted to tell about him in just a minute. But can't say that I've really met anybody quite like Juan. Need to have lunch with that guy. Or maybe I'll reach out to him today and mention that. Okay, the next one is what is next? I got distracted by Juan. Well, he's kind of a distraction. He's kind of like seeing a bright star in the sky. And like I saw that the other night, 2 nights ago. I noticed that there was a bright object near the moon, a planet, obviously. And I looked at it. I was trying to discern if it was Mars. It wasn't red. Could it be? It was either probably Jupiter or Saturn. I guess it could have been Venus too. Clearly, right? Yeah, probably Venus. Come to think of it, was a little high in the sky. Anyway, that's Juan. He's the kind of thing that would catch your eye in the stars, because he's a bright, like a planet, bright, unwavering light. Stars, you can always tell a star in the sky because they twinkle, because the atmosphere. But planets are bright enough that they push through the atmosphere and they don't twinkle. That's how you can tell a planet from a star. Juan doesn't twinkle. I'll leave that as it is. Okay, so back on track. So after the principle of maturity comes the social principle. We're social creatures. We need each other. And our best ends are social ends. And the sub-principles there are diplomacy, working together, to learning to work with others to resolve towards good ends, virtuous ends. Justice being the definition of what that end will be that we're after, to have the better city, the better community. And then conspiracy, linking arms together with others to achieve those ends. So the social principle is very much about working with others to define what good is, and then striving to achieve that together. Now, the next principle is called public speaking. And this is where I'll tell you my anecdote about Juan. But before I do that, public speaking consists of a couple of sub-principles. These are best words, striving to have a good vocabulary and to use those words well. And that's where I'm going to talk about Juan. Oops. Battery's going low. Best words, eloquence. That comes with practice and by listening to and watching other people who speak well do their thing, but mostly it comes from practice. So best words, eloquence, prudence. Prudence is the filter that we use, where we filter our ideas through our values before they emerge. That's why, again, speaking slowly helps us to do that, because we can then have a chance to align what we're saying with our internal value structure. And then the negative elements of these are rumor and gossip. I try to avoid those. So those are the 5 elements of good speaking. I call it public speaking, which is, again, best words, eloquence, prudence, and avoiding rumors and gossip. Now, back to the best words. Juan did something yesterday that really blew my mind. He was leading a meeting that we were in. He's an excellent project manager and an excellent leader in meetings, and he's it's really amazing to watch him go. And we were having a bit of a technical discussion, and their term GIF came up. It's a file type for a image format, GIF, and I believe the proper pronunciation for that is GIF. Now, most people don't call it that. They call it a GIF, right? I did too for a long time until someone pointed it out to me, or I ran across it somewhere that it's actually GIF. And we had a situation yesterday in the meeting where I had created a video file, an MP4 file. I needed to then give that to an engineer who would then do a task to convert that to a GIF and then render that to change the structure of the video, and then we were going to use that as a hero banner in a website that we're building. And Juan was kind of orchestrating that connection between the file that I had created, the video file that I created, and this engineer who would then render it. And Juan had introduced it. He said, "Okay," the other person, let's just make his name up as Thomas, right? That's just a fictitious name. Juan's the only name that's the real name. Thomas, can you then take that file that Kurt's created and render that into a GIF? And Thomas said, "Oh yeah, I can be happy to just put that into a GIF." And in my mind, I was like, "Oh, there's the famous GIF, conundrum. Which is it?" And I thought, and then I saw Juan do something really interesting. Juan said, "Oh, that would be great if you could then take that and put that into a GIF." Do you see what Juan did? He met Thomas where Thomas was. Now, rather than insisting that GIF is the proper pronunciation by either pointing it out or by insisting it by saying it again, because I'm sure that Thomas noticed, and everybody else, there were like 20 people in the meeting, noticed the distinction between GIF and GIF. It's one of those little things you can see. Juan just went right where he was, because Juan's focus was the mission, not being right in his own right, not teaching other people how to properly pronounce that. Juan's goal was the mission. No ego involved, and he did it so deftly, without showcase. Just switched, he noticed where Thomas was and went there. And I kind of gulped like I just did now when I saw that, and I realized I was watching a master working. Master communicator. Yeah, he is. Anybody that's been in any of Juan's meetings knows that. His reputation is legend. Anyway, enough about that. I better go fast. I just noticed that the battery is running out, and I better wind this up before I'm done. So let's go to the lightning round for the rest of the way through. So after public speaking comes the next principle is distraction. There's two principles: distraction and agency and the great indifference. Then fiver, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be borne, and then the feast of offal. Those go together. Those five principles go together. Then after that comes the best seat in the house, to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, all the while striving for better. Then a forfer. This is the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, and the risk of avoiding risk. Then comes the sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the path of the season of philosophy, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, and the last principle is called the principle of fun, a reminder to have a good time today and to plan for a good time tomorrow and the days beyond, and to remember the good times from yesterday. So let me take a quick remembrance of yesterday. I remember walking with my daughter exploring in the mountains in Japan, crossing the stream together with our shoes in our hands as we crossed that clear stream with the cold water at our feet. And we went up to explore an abandoned farm. That was a good memory. As for today, I plan to, let's go to tomorrow. Let's do it yesterday, today, and tomorrow. For today, I plan to work hard. I plan to have another cup of coffee after this one with milk in it. It's going to taste good with a little cinnamon on top. I'm going to take a long walk with my dogs afterwards because I get a little more time. It's a Friday. I can start half hour later than usual, so I'll take a long walk with my dogs this morning. Then at lunch, I'll enjoy my show or another walk with the dogs, actually, and listen to a podcast or read my book. I'm reading continuing with the Norton Anthology of American Literature. I'm reading the life of William Bradford, one of the Puritans. And then from there, this evening, I can't wait to have my dinner with my wife. Of course, the ocean swim before that, get all sandy and cold and wet. Maybe bump into another fish. And then I have a nice dinner with my wife, a beer or two, a little wine maybe, depending on, maybe I'll mix it up, a beer and a wine, glass of wine with her, and then all that. And then a weekend ahead. And then for tomorrow, this weekend, we're going to find a real good restaurant. I'm going to pick a really nice restaurant, and Miko and I will go have fun together and try something new and different. And with that, what challenges could I face today? For my day's work, I have like 2 meetings to deal with the one project. I'll go through those. I'm not going to do the status report today. I'm going to switch status reports for Monday, which means I can focus on, for the one project I have, we have 6 more waves after this one that I'm in. I have to lay out the websites that we're building and the level of effort for them and kind of prepare it. So that on Monday, I'm meeting with the project manager from the vendor. We're going to try to adjust the schedule and see where we can tighten it up. And with that, my life is done. And I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.